All right, some amazing news getting out of or coming out of Fox News over the weekend. When you realize that Fox News is like a propaganda organ of the state, and many times they filter out information that they would see as detrimental to the cause, it's always amazing when something does get through. And something got out this weekend when Shannon Bream interviewed Pam Bondi, our new Attorney General. And what got out was some information on the case of the man who was wrongly sent to El Salvador without due process. They picked him up. They thought he looked like a gang member. I think they judged it by his tattoos and put him on a plane and sent him to that really bad prison in El Salvador without any due process. Well, Shannon Bream actually read some of the judge's decision out loud and on air. Maybe she didn't know the microphones were on. Anyway, she read some particularly devastating portions of the judge's decision, the kind of thing you would think Fox wouldn't want their audience to know about, or at least wouldn't want them to think they knew about. Anyway, let's take a listen and see what she said.
A lower court judge on Friday night ruled against you with respect to, and I'm going to read this because I want to make sure I get his name right, Kilmar Armando Obrego Garcia, who is somebody who was living in Maryland. He was under an order not to be deported because of fears or danger that he may face back in El Salvador. The government has admitted there was an error in deporting him. But this judge has said you've got a deadline midnight Monday to get him back from El Salvador. There have been allegations that he is a gang member, that he's involved in human trafficking. This is what the judge said. That's just chatter in my view. I haven't been given any evidence in a court of law when someone is accused of membership in such a violent and predatory organization. It comes in the form of an indictment, a complaint, a criminal proceeding that has robust process so we can assess the facts.
The judge is saying you can't just walk into my courtroom and tell me the guy's a member of a dangerous gang and present no evidence. I can't take it on your word. I need to see legal evidence. I need to see an indictment or a complaint or documentation from a criminal proceeding. I need to see papers. Now, Bondi says in this interview, after she's asked this question, her answer is basically, well, ICE told us that he was in this gang. But that's the point. That's the point the judge was trying to make. You can't just tell me somebody told you. You have to show me proof. You have to show me evidence. You have to show me papers. Show me the papers. And there are no papers in this case. There's just some guys from ICE like, oh yeah, he's in the gang. With no evidence, no papers, no nothing. So they know that this guy should not have been taken. They know he needs to be brought back, and yet they're going to court and arguing against it for the sole purpose, I think, of saving the president's reputation. And if somebody doesn't get fully on board with this job to defend the reputation of the president by essentially violating this man's rights, then they're out. And that's how this administration works. And that's why I think Christians shouldn't be supporting them on this particular matter. They shouldn't be defending the administration on this matter. Now, I understand they may be defending it because they don't really understand, all the details of what's gone on. But you had the Fox News host right here, Shannon Bream, saying it out loud for all the Fox audience to hear. So for anybody who pays a decent amount of attention to the news, I don't think you really have much of an excuse for not understanding that this man was given legal protection that protected him from removal since 2019, which means he was here legally and he's never been prosecuted for a crime. There's no paper trail showing he was ever prosecuted for a crime. He's never even been charged with a crime. He's never even been indicted for a crime. He's never done anything to have voided his removal protection agreement. So yes, this is very much a perversion of justice, and it's a refusal of the administration to give due process. And that's a perversion of our legal system, which is based on principles of fairness and justice. And, I don't know of any Christian who has ever complained that our legal system allows for due process. That's just basic biblical fairness. Now, they may complain that due process takes too long, And they may complain that judges sometimes make bad rulings, all that we could all agree with. But the general principle, the concept of due process, I've never heard anyone argue against, Christian or otherwise. So, to not offer due process in these cases, it's not only a violation of our laws, but it's also a violation of a biblical sense of fair play. And yes, God does expect governments to treat people fairly. Romans 13 says that the purpose of government is to protect the innocent and punish the guilty. But in this case, we're punishing an innocent man, and I see a lot of MAGA people who identify as Christians applauding it. It's just, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense at all. Now, I know somebody will say, well, you don't know that he's really innocent just because he doesn't have any papers or has never been indicted or charged with a crime. That doesn't mean he's necessarily innocent. And that's true, of course. But in our system, in order to be found guilty, you have to have papers. You have to have a paper trail. You have to have an indictment. You have to have evidence presented to a jury that believes that evidence and pronounces you guilty. You can't just pick someone up and send him to an extrajudicial prison because you think he looks like a criminal. That's not right. Not legally, not under our Constitution, and it's not biblically right either. So it's a real, surprise to me that I see Christians defending this and applauding it. But, this whole thing, it's really goes to something else, and it's a real problem with this administration from start to finish, and that is its inability to keep commitments. It's broken commitments our government has made left and right since the very first day. And when a new president comes in, he can't just break all the commitments previously made before he took office. No, all presidents in the past have always been very careful to keep the commitments that our government made before they came to office because they understand how important that is. They understand the importance of trust. But this government, this administration has broken commitments. It's broken commitments we've made to immigrants. It's broken commitments we've made to contractors. It's broken commitments we've made to government employees. And it's definitely broken commitments we've made to other countries. Now, you may not like the commitments we've made, but they're commitments nonetheless, and we have to abide by them. We can't just break them because we don't like them anymore. You may not like a contractor that the government has agreed to hire to perform a certain function. That's okay. You may think, yeah, we should get rid of them, and that's fine. Let's get rid of them. But let's get rid of them in whatever way the termination clause in their contracts allows for. Let's do it legally, let's do it properly, let's do it right. But this administration has just told them, you're done, and we're not paying you anymore. It's really crazy. A lot of these companies, when they get these agreements with the government, they go out and hire employees to perform the work. And they've agreed to pay them, and they've already incurred the expenses. And then suddenly a new president comes in and they're told, you're done. We're not paying you anymore. We don't approve of what you're doing anymore. That's not right. Whether you approve of it or not, you can't treat people that way. They kept their end of the agreement, but we didn't keep ours. So, I don't know, you may think that's fine. You may think it's fine to fire government employees to whom we've promised certain guarantees, but that's not fine either. We have to keep our commitments to them as well. That's what great nations do. But we're now following the path of third world banana republics by breaking our word over and over again. And it's already coming back to bite us. And it's all being done in the name of Make America Great again. It's just, the irony is just, it's incomprehensible. Anyway, these commitments, when you start to break them and you lose the trust of everybody, once it becomes known that no one can trust you, as this president is doing his best to make known as quickly as he can, but what will that lead to when no one trusts us anymore? You may not realize now why that even matters, but unfortunately, we'll all realize it eventually. I think Israel and Europe have already either slowed down or stopped sharing some intelligence with us. That's not going to make us stronger or more secure. How does that make us great? That's when you're going to find out that trust matters, when something bad happens that could have been prevented had those other nations trusted us to share, intelligence with us. And, it matters not only as a practical matter, but it's also a biblical matter as well. We're told to keep our word, to be good for our promises, to let our yeas be yea and our nays be nay. When you say yes, you have to mean yes. And when you say no, it means no. You got to stick with it. This is again why I say that if you're a Christian and too committed to MAGA and committed to defending it no matter what they do, you'll have to compromise biblical principles in order to do that. But the good news is it's okay to not be on board with everything that comes out of this movement. It's okay to not buy into every part of it. Oh, and it's certainly okay to not always have to defend it because our salvation isn't in MAGA. It's not even in politics, and it's not in worldly power. Our salvation is in Christ alone. So let's not compromise the most precious thing we have as Christians, Christ, in order to embrace a corrupt political movement that we think will somehow save us better than he will, because it won't. It won't, and it never will, and it can't. So anyway, I hope something I'm saying resonates with somebody. I know there are Christians out there and they pay kind of intermittent attention to these things. So I hope coming from me as a fellow Christian, I'm not some liberal who's trying to knock your religion, that, maybe you can listen to a little bit of this and hopefully start thinking about it a little bit. Anyway, that's it for me. Now it's your turn. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Agree, disagree, have more thoughts? Let me know. And a like and subscribe are always appreciated. Hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.